Welcome to everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your interest in the work of this board, and thank you for your interest in the district. I'm going to turn it over now to our CEO, Mr. Gilzine, in terms of the invocation. Mr. Gilzine?
Yes, good morning. Good morning. Yes, there it is. Before I bring up my good friend, Pastor Tim Grosshands, let me just give a little background. He's the senior pastor of First Baptist Church in Winter Garden. He takes pride of being a devout husband to his beloved wife, Carol, and loving father to his 5 wonderful children and 9 cherished grandchildren. His journey of service to the faith has taken him to diverse locations, enriching communities in North Dakota, Missouri, Arkansas, and now here in the great state of Florida. Most recently, and unfortunately, due to injuries, Pastor Grosshands had to gracefully relinquish his dream of extreme cage fighting and base jumping. We are happy to have you here, Pastor. Come on up and give us the invocation.
Thank you. I was so blessed when my dear friend Glenn invited me to come and open this meeting in prayer. This one thing I know, Glenn is a good man. He's a good man, and his intention is to do well in this task that lays before him. I know 2 of the board members. They're good men, and I'm very impressed with them. And so let us go to the Lord in prayer. But first, a passage of Scripture. The Apostle Paul writes, "Let us not grow weary in doing good." In spite of controversy, in spite of circumstances beyond everybody's control in this room, you find yourselves here with the ability to do good. Let's pray for that. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time and this place. We thank you for these leaders and the wisdom that you placed in them. And so now, Lord, give them the courage to do good, to be honorable in their leadership. We thank you for their leadership. Bless them and encourage them. And we thank you for the goodness of your leadership to us. For it's in the most precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor, and thank you for your kind words and for your blessing. We appreciate it dearly. And let's now honor this great nation with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And could we have a brief safety procedure explanation?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, and to all of the guests and visitors. We always start our meetings off with a safety message for your protection and those in the building. We want you to be familiar with the exits in the building, so you're familiar with where you entered the building from the front. There is also an exit on the back side of the building, so in the event that we do need to leave the building, evacuate the building, please go to the nearest exit in an orderly fashion. When you get outside, we do have employees in this building that will have safety vests on, and they will meet at the ends of the parking lot. So please make your way to the ends of the parking lot. On your way out, you'll see safety fire alarm pull stations and fire extinguishers. If you're comfortable and confident to use those, please do so. And in the event that we need first aid or defibrillators, we have those at the front desk. Thank you very much and enjoy the meeting.
Thank you. Now for public comments. It looks like we have 2 public comments. Number 1, Lori Brandon. Lori, could you please step up? And if you're here in a representative capacity, please tell us who you represent.
Hi. My name is Laurie Brandon. I'm a 30-year district employee. I'm a member of the union, and I'm here representing my discipline within the union. I'm just here to ask you all to not sign the bargaining agreement and wait until the MOU that has been agreed upon with the district to be signed by the union for the fire plans examiner discipline. Somehow the fire plans examiner's salary was the only salary to be reduced by nearly $30,000 on the scale, instead of the increase like all the other disciplines received. In the history of my time here at the district, not a single discipline's pay scale has ever gone backwards. I approached the union, and the president told me that the district set those parameters and that he would fight it, but I should know that one of our positions would be on the line. I waited about a week, and our pay scale wasn't being addressed, so I requested a meeting with Mr. Jilzian. I think I said it right, Glenn. I learned in that meeting that those things that were told to me and my partner were just never discussed. Once I brought the discrepancy to the administration's attention, the district recognized the error. They agreed, and they created an MOU to correct to adjust the scale. I just would like the union to sign their part and have it attached to the contract. So it should have been corrected weeks ago. I'm not sure why. I haven't been privy to everything, but I only had brought it to the administration, not this past Friday, but the Friday before. So the fire plans examiner position was and always has been equivalent to the lieutenant's annual salary. So again, due to the egregious circumstances, I'm just asking you all not to sign the contract until it has been repaired or the MOU added fairly.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you for bringing that to Mr. Gilzine's attention, and thank you for your service, and I think Mr. Gilzine has a response.
Absolutely. So yes, we had the meeting less than 10 days ago. Our team has looked at identifying the proper language. There is a MOU that I'm ready to sign and move forward. I think the next thing is just that your union leadership needs to sign it. So I would recommend that as long as we can have those signatures today, and since it's in a public format and it's on the record, that as long as we have your union membership sign off on it today, we'll be able to incorporate it in today's vote as well.
I agree.
Okay?
Thank you.
So that's to your satisfaction, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you for giving me the time.
Yes, ma'am. Next, Amanda Myers, number 2. Amanda, if you're here in a representative capacity, could you please tell us who you represent?
Good morning, everyone. I'm proud to be here. It's such an honor. My name is Amanda Myers. I'm a state park ranger. I represent the state of Florida. I have a few things I wanted to go over. I'm not sure if it's a surprise or if anyone has heard of me. I'm the advertising agent for WonderWorks. Someone in 2022 told me that I own WonderWorks and that I have a large account. So I don't know if you guys are looking for accounting. I also own a tour guide business through State Park Rangers Academy called Adventures to Get You There. The state of Florida, when I became a park ranger, bought my company. I guess I have a lot of money. So what I wanted to discuss, if anybody is interested in after the meeting, I could give you some account information that I have here with my clipboard. So that's all I wanted to say is that if I do own WonderWorks, and it is true, and I have a lot of money, I'm interested in the tourism oversight, and I am interested in depositing money in the tourist oversight account. Since it's logical, and I can help. That's all I have to say.
Well, thank you for your comments. As you've probably heard, if you've been to any of our meetings, Mr. Gilzine has put a real emphasis on serving new businesses, small businesses, and people that our district has never done business before.
right.
So I'm sure your solicitation here as an entrepreneur is music to Mr. Gilzine's ears.
I hope so.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, next, the consent agenda. Is there a motion that it be approved?
Move to approve consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second? Second. And I understand that Mr. Bearcat has a comment. Mr. Bearcat?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a real minor comment. The minutes for the 621 meeting, page 2 refers to the former vice chair being present. I don't believe he was, so just for the sake of accuracy, I'm certainly willing to approve the minutes, just with the note that maybe we'll correct that on page 2.
Perfect, thank you. With that comment, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Let the record reflect that the consent agenda passed unanimously. Next item, and I understand this is a little out of order, is new business. And with respect to the collective bargaining agreement, Mr. Gilzine, do you have comments?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. I'm proud to present to the board a proposed compensation package for our firefighters. This deal is the result of months, and in some cases, years of negotiation with our union. But this deal accomplished goals that are priorities not only of this administration and this board, but to this district. And we're excited that our goals will address the unique challenges that our district presents while offering the best possible compensation and still being fiscally responsible for this district. So thankfully, Mr. Chair and members of the board, we were able to accomplish all those goals with this tentative agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Gilzine. Are there any comments by any of my fellow board members regarding this topic? Hearing none, let me express my special thanks to three of the board members, Supervisor Perry, Ziegler, and Ongst. They have experience with these kinds of agreements. I was totally lost in terms of what we needed to do, and they did all the heavy lifting, and I'm grateful for that, and I want to thank them. And then I want to thank our CEO, Mr. Gilzine, for landing this plane. You know, this issue has been around for some time. It was around before this board was appointed, and there were some contentious negotiations. And with his charm and his wit and his intellect, our CEO was able to bring to us what we feel is a fair, generous, and fiscally responsible agreement. And so we're grateful to him. We're also grateful to our counsel, who provided us excellent legal services. And so on behalf of the board, I want to thank Mr. Gilzine, legal counsel, and as a chairman, I want to thank my fellow board members for their assistance on that. And so do we have a vote with respect to the agreement that's part of the agenda?
I move to approve the collective bargaining agreement, A Unit 2023-2025.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any comments? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Please let the record reflect that it passed unanimously. Now, reports. We'll turn it over again to our CEO, Mr. Gilzine. Management report.
So, sir, Mr. Chair and members of the board, I would like to bring up our district fire chief, Richard LePere, to please come on up, where are you, and present the Life-Saving Recognition Award for our firefighter paramedic, Eric Martinez. Chief, you have some comments that you're going to make?
I do.
Okay.
First, thank you for your time and the board's time to allow us to do this. These are very special circumstances today. Eric, you want to come up? If you'd like your family, come with you. And Mr. Hollingsworth. So, before I read you the comments that were written by the Commander, Chief Smith, also up here by their battalion, the hardest call a firefighter goes on is a family member. A crewmate is also a family member. So here are the words of Battalion Chief Richard Schussler, who put in for this award for Mr. Martinez. On April 16th, firefighter paramedic Eric Martinez's partner became ill. They returned to Advent Health celebration so that firefighter paramedic Hollingsworth, stand right here, come on, could get some help. While walking through the exterior doors into the ER, firefighter Hollingsworth collapsed. Firefighter Martinez reacted quickly and assisted Mr. Hollingsworth to the ground. Then firefighter paramedic Martinez quickly called for help. With no response, he began to assess the status of firefighter Hollingsworth. He then called for help again, louder, receiving some help from the celebration staff. They quickly realized that firefighter Hollingsworth had no pulse, and they began CPR. Firefighter Martinez assisted in getting firefighter paramedic Hollingsworth from the ground as to where we were treated by the staff. It's very, very difficult when you go out and you have to go work on a call with a face that you know, a friend or family member. It's excruciating when it's your partner that you spend day and night, a third of your life with. You eat, sleep, you talk about the good and the bad things in your life. You share things that you don't share with anybody else. This man kept a cool head. He did his job. This man was in full cardiac arrest, what we would call a code. If it wasn't for his behavior, his training, and his ability to do this job, there'd be a family without a father and a wife without a husband today. But because of what Mr. Martinez did, this guy is on the road to recovery, and we're waiting for him to get cleared and come back to duty. We look forward to it. Eric, congratulations. That is a heroic thing for our department. You have earned a huge treasure. This is a plaque and an award that we have for Eric. It's a life-saving award presented to firefighter paramedic Eric Martinez in recognition of your courageous and life-saving actions to save your brother, Steve Hollingsworth, on April 16th, 2023, in his time of need, the Reedy Creek Fire Department. I'm extremely proud of you and glad to be able to give you this award, Eric. Thank you. Now, One of the things we do when we give this out, we actually have a medal that Eric gets to wear in his uniform. It's probably the best medal that you could get. And normally, we let a family member or somebody do that. In this case, we are letting a family member, the man who's here today because of him. Pin it on. It's not good. It's not good unless he bleeds. Thank you so much
Chief.
for allowing us to share this with you and the board. This is an extremely important thing for this young man.
I think they would want to take a picture.
Yes. You want to jump up there with him?
Like right here. We're going to stand like right here. Eric, I want you in this picture. So could we slide just a little bit up? And then we're...
Girls, you should be proud of your dad.
So, Chief, thank you very much. Mr. Martinez, I have a question for you. Who were those two cute girls that were up there with you?
These are my two daughters, Johanna and Mariah. I have a 5-month-old as well, son. He's getting a little too fussy, so I gotta take him out. Hopefully we have enough video footage where I can save something for her to watch.
Well, the board wants to congratulate you and in particular, congratulate your two daughters for having a dad who's a hero. That's a big deal, girls. Congratulations.
Again, thank you, Chief. Congratulations, firefighter, paramedic, Mr. Martinez. We're glad that you're healthy and here today, Stephen Hollingsworth. Next slide. All right. During the last board meeting, I had the pleasure of sharing some truly exciting news. Through our collaboration with CareerSource, Osceola County Public Schools, Neo City Academy, we have a couple of students interning here at the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District. This partnership have opened up incredible opportunities for these students who are currently participating in a 4-week summer program, and they're gaining firsthand experience and insider perspective on providing exceptional services to our taxpayers within the district. Before I introduce the students, let's watch this short video highlighting some of their experiences thus far. right. So today, I'm thrilled to introduce 5 out of the 10 exceptional students who are halfway through their internships who have joined us today. Let's give a warm welcome to Kaylin, Camden, Jaylin, Corinne, and Karan. So the other 5 students are on a boat with our environmental science team, or they would be here this morning. Karan and Jaylin, would you like to share a few words of your experience thus far?
Absolutely.
All right.
My name is Karan Duncanson. I'm a rising senior at Neo City Academy. And I'm going to be honest, when we first went to CareerSource for the job fair, we had no clue what the district was. They told us that we had to choose what we wanted to do, and I chose business management, and I was curious what a municipality had to do with business management. So when we came here, they told us we were going to go through the different departments, and I learned very valuable lessons at each one, but specifically I want to focus on the collaboration and communication between all the different departments and how it's all like gel together and can work seamlessly with each other. And I think this goes to the group of people that have been hired and the group of people that are in places of position that work well with each other, communicate well, and are varied in all that they do. Me personally, I want to go into entrepreneurship, so being here and seeing how a business like this is ran and the different parts and the different moving sectors of this has helped me be able to learn how I can start my own business, with whether it was with finance or with contracts and procurement, or walking around and seeing the different garages and how each discipline can really have its mark on each different part of the district. And I think it's also a valuable lesson to learn how the passion with the people that work here is very important, because I didn't meet not one person that was ever in any sort of mood or mad or not willing to answer questions. They all wanted to teach us and wanted to be here. And I felt that was very important to see, because when people talk about 9 to 5s now, it is with a very negative connotation. And I feel that when it's something that you're passionate about, it shouldn't be looked at as negative, but because you're doing what you want to do. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right. To add on to that, I want to talk about how we can see the different perspectives of every department as well. When I first applied, when I first had my interview, they were telling me that there's going to be like a little bit about the environmental science, a little bit about more of engineering. And as somebody who's more into engineering, I also wanted to see those other aspects. So getting a view from every different point of view was extremely valuable to me. And it was to the point where I've told some of the people who work here that even knowing what I don't want to do out of this internship is just as valuable. And I'm going to use this example that I've told Karan and I've told some other people as well, that we've gone to Flamingo Crossings nearby. We've gone there like every day. But every time we go, it's with a different department. So we get a different perspective, what they see on Flamingo Crossings. Like, for example, we were with electrical. So we went into one of the buildings that was going to be constructed soon, Skyline Chili. And we were looking at the electrical systems. And then we were looking at parking as well. So he takes us around the back, and we see the parking area. So seeing the different perspectives as well is just as important.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
These students truly stand out and display remarkable dedication and enthusiasm. That's there right there. Furthermore, I'm pleased to also introduce the leadership of Neo City, both Jonathan and Julia, who are going to come up and say a couple things about their outstanding school that I understand is one of the top 10 STEM high schools in the state of Florida. Come on up and say a couple words.
Good morning. So my name is Jonathan Mata. I am our Experiential Learning Coordinator and Partnerships Coordinator at Neo City Academy. And this is Julia Ullman, who is our Assistant Principal of Curriculum and Instruction at Neo City Academy. So first of all, we'd like to thank the board. We'd like to thank the district for hosting all of our incredible students. Just watching the video today, I was like, oh man, like they actually got like what we set out was a really unique internship opportunity where they got to learn and grow and actually see what it takes to run something like this. But we'd also like to thank CareerSource for partnering with us. We received a Senate Appropriations grant last summer that is what we were able to use to pay students. So these students are not just volunteering their time, they're actually being, there's like bagpipes outside, I'm sorry.
That's what happens when you show up here, right?
But they're actually paid interns through a partnership with CareerSource and Darren Soto's office. So it's really awesome to see what these 10 students were able to do in just a short amount of time. We have about 65 interns placed all throughout Central Florida this summer. Some of those, or a lot of those, are through CareerSource. And these types of experiences are what we're trying to create at Neo City Academy. We know that these are valuable for our students who are going to be going on and serving in roles and jobs that aren't even developed yet. They need to know and understand where industry is heading. So students at our school may be in artificial intelligence, they may be in engineering, they may be in biodesign. That's just the baseline foundation that we want them to understand when they go to post-secondary and beyond. So whether they wind up here working as members of your team, we really want them to stay in the Central Florida area. The Central Florida area is rapidly expanding in a variety of sectors, from Medical City to Neo City Tech Park. There's so many opportunities that are going to be available to them, and we want to expose our students to those things in Central Florida so that they're not leaving and going elsewhere. We want them ultimately, the talent, to stay in Central Florida. So that's something that we've been working with local governments to talk about how do we make that happen. So thank you guys for opening up your doors. That's the toughest thing for us to get an organization to do, and hopefully now you guys see what high schoolers are capable of. So thank you guys.
Absolutely.
No, I just wanted to echo Mr. Mota and thanking everybody for providing that opportunity for our students, and just want to say how proud I am of all of them, and they're the ones that make our school #1 in the state of Florida. Thank you.
All right. All right, and one last person I want to bring up here. We owe a debt of gratitude to CareerSource for making this possible. Thank you for your valuable support, which allows the compensation, as you heard, that these students are getting a paid internship. Chairman, board members, these students will receive $2,250 over their course. I wish I had a paid internship I kind of did. So because of that, I want to welcome our friend Tadar, who's the COO of CareerSource, just to talk a little bit about this partnership. And how are we going to expand this, Tadar? How are we going to make it open for other kids?
I like how you're talking.
Okay.
Well, good morning. Tadar Muhammad, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for CareerSource Central Florida. Newsflash, I've only been on the job for 2 months, so don't hold it against me. Glenn, we're in the same company in some cases.
Yeah.
Think about this. I have a question for you guys, just to think as a board. Think back to your first job. Think back to the opportunities when you were at school. What were the things that were most important that you were exposed to? For me, I was exposed to home economics. Back then, they called it industrial arts, and they called it a number of things. You learned how to sew, you learned how to type, you learned how to get gritty with the work. That is, in fact, what these gentlemen have learned today. And it's interesting, I went on a tour of Neo City Academy about a year ago, and you were my tour guide. So CareerSource is really, when you think about what we're trying to do within CareerSource, is exactly that. You're seeing and living proof exactly what we're trying to do, is to help those young people in partnership with governments, municipalities, businesses, all of those intertwined, to help our young people know what's next. How could they stay home and be successful? Our mission at CareerSource Central Florida is really to do two things. One is to give those individuals an opportunity to connect with careers as a Central Floridian. The second thing is to develop talent for our businesses. We know that the businesses really need to understand how to get to that talent, and we want to be able to do that. We've been doing summer youth programs for about 20 years or more. But in the last 5 or 6 years, we've been really committed to serving at least 1,000 individuals every summer. And so this is one great opportunity in partnership with a great team here, but we also do it in 5 other counties. What's interesting is that we've not had a real good opportunity to really expand on this opportunity within public service and those jobs that are really good jobs that are within our communities. And this gives us an opportunity to do that. We look forward to more opportunities. We want to keep this going not only over the summer, but try to figure out how do we do this year round so that young people like these wonderful students have the same opportunity. Glenn, I appreciate you giving us the opportunity, and thank you so much for us being here and being a part of this wonderful partnership.
Absolutely. Before I conclude this segment of my report, I did see the school board member, John Arguello, and I'll be remiss if I didn't give you an opportunity to say a couple words, Mr. School Board Member, since I also have a school board member on my board.
Given the opportunity to speak, I have to take the opportunity just to say thank you, Glenn. We've met on about 4 occasions in the past. One time was when you were with Step Up, and the amount of people that you helped in Step Up is at the very least tens of thousands of people. So as a school board member, I've talked a lot about vision. It takes a lot of vision to involve people very young. This morning, I wanted to go see the fire truck, right? And I got a flat tire on the way over here. So, like that's somebody mentioned the grit, right? Well, life is a lot about experiences and how you deal with those grits. Without these types of experiences for our students, then as a young person, you only deal through the suffering and the building of character, so to speak, of life, not through the development portion that turns you into a leader. And so, Glenn, you are absolutely someone who has been dedicated to that throughout your career, and I truly appreciate the partnership that you have with students in general and our community in general. It speaks volumes about you. They picked the right person for this position, certainly. The next place was with the Urban League, and then we got to meet again on one of those occasions where you came to the district and you helped a lot of people, a lot of adults get through certifications through the school district. So as you're in public service and you're going through and you're meeting people in general, and there's people who are contributing on a constant basis, at random they come into your lives and you're just in awe of the amount of effort and love that they're putting into the community. Glenn, you've been one of those people. So I don't think that our children, our students, our community members have a better person to follow in terms of a model than you. So thank you very much. For you students, what a great opportunity this is, right? Like I mentioned, I had a flat tire earlier in the morning. It reminded me of when I was a young dad and I had my baby and I ran out of gas one time, right? As a young parent, that life struggle. Well, this is a great opportunity for you to build character in a way that's going to help you go leaps and bounds into a career, hopefully, right? In engineering, right? A better tire, if I can make a suggestion, for those of you who are studying that, would be great. But take this opportunity, learn the most that you can from it. And then, once you've learned everything that you can, come back and serve your community the way that Glenn has, if I can make a request. So thank you, Glenn. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my manager report, and I know we have another segment, but I'll talk on that when that part comes up.
Before we move on, I don't know if my fellow board members have any comments at this point.
Mr. Chair, I'm not one, I promised myself I would not be a chatty Cathy at these things, but it's hard not to respond to that presentation. I just want to underline, this partnership with CareerSource is such a tremendous thing. I'm passionate about educating young people for meaningful careers, and I love that we're getting involved in this partnership. One, there's so much need for this kind of training. There's so much great opportunity in these careers, and I love that there's really magic happening behind the scenes of this district, and I love that we're opening the curtain, one, to hopefully expose these young people to the meaningful work that can be done, whether it's the fire department, environmental, the construction department, on down the line. Really tremendous careers, so much great opportunity in this state, and I love that we're helping contribute to that. And I love that the partnership with CareerSource will help build that. There's so many great jobs out there, so much need, and there's just a little bit of a mismatch. We need to get our young people into these careers, and that's a tremendous thing. Two, I think in the spirit of sunshine, that we're just opening the doors of this district, and we're letting members of the public from high school on up see the great things that are being done by the members of this district. And I think it's a very powerful thing. It's something that we haven't had in the spirit of sunshine in this district for a long time, and I'm glad that we're taking a meaningful step in that direction. So I want to thank you, Mr. Gilzine. I want to thank the folks at CareerSource and the young folks and the Neo City Academy and the young folks. God bless you for what you're doing. The STEM careers are an amazing thing. Maybe in this room today, maybe we've got the next Glenn Gilzine or maybe the next Charles Goodyear, apparently. So God bless you and thank you.
I just wanted to echo that. I'm over here grinning. I love this aspect of it as a school board member, just seeing young leaders take the opportunity, and I want to commend the students for seizing on the opportunity to take the internship. Many people could just sit by the sidelines and miss that opportunity. If you consider what you've seen and experienced, that'll go a long way. I'm a big fan of operations. I think that people don't realize all the stuff that goes in and the heart and the passion, and you mentioned that. And to me, you can read about it in a book, but until you have that human interaction and you get to see how people go to work and love what they do. So I think it was mentioned 9 to 5s are relevant when you love what you do. I can echo that, and I think a lot of our staff is that as well. And I think that's something I experienced when I took my first behind the scenes tour as well. And I think it's something that's really important the community understand. I know there's a lot of other discussions, but there are amazing human beings that work tirelessly to make this work for everyone else and make it seamless. And so I'm so excited that you guys got the experience to see that. And also, one of the gentlemen said that it was also good to experience to see what you may not like. And that is very insightful. Yes, it is, because you every day counts. And so if you see something that really doesn't fit with you, you can go off another path. But Mr. Gilzine, I'm thrilled with your leadership and the community that you're building here, and illustrating again the bridging of the community members and the human component that makes all of this so great and work. So I look forward to many more presentations like this, smiling ear to ear. So thank you very much.
You know, the toughest thing, I think, as you grow up is getting your first job. And the problem is you don't have the experience to get the job, but you could do the job. And so how do you get the job if you don't have the experience to get the job experience that you need to get the job? I mean, it's crazy. Okay, however, what this really has done is for these young people, it's provided them something that is really a gateway into your future. And one of the things I really like is that, the first jobs you take pretty much set a direction for most people of what their life is going to be like. And you're being given this opportunity to view various different types of jobs so that you can choose and know what you like. And I just think this is fantastic. And I think CareerSource, NeoCity, and certainly Mr. Gilzine, this is a new dimension for the district. And it's a really exciting one, because people can see and can benefit from all of this. And frankly, it makes me very proud to be a board member. And I do want to thank you again, and thank all the people who've been involved in this.
Yeah, I wish I could add something to those comments from my fellow board members, but there's nothing to add. Thank you, Mr. Gilzine.
Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Chairman, as we move on to the second part of our report, just have a quick couple comments. Since the inception of this board, our top priority has been serving in a fair and transparent capacity. Each board meeting, we begin with public listening sessions. And over the number of meetings, we've heard concerns from individuals and business alike about the rising costs within our community. We heard you loud and clear. All of us at the district have been working hard over the past several months to implement a plan to address those concerns. I am proud to announce that we have accomplished just that with our budget proposal. Our budget will cut the current property tax rate by nearly 7%, as the millage rate is changed from 13.9 to 12.9 respectively. Importantly, we made sure to keep core services of this district that they will not be impacted. We're able to do this by prioritizing spending and implementing best government practices. We all know that our district is a one-of-a-kind destination. Millions of visitors around the world each year visit us, and when they come here, we have an obligation to keep them safe. In our budget, I was shocked to find out that we only had one emergency coordinator for the entire district. That is clearly insufficient for the scope and the scale of the activity and the work that we do here each and every day. So as we move forward with the budgetary process, my goal and priority, as I said once in the past and continue to say it, is that public safety is paramount, and we will be prioritizing such things. We are also fortifying our financial reserve, and we're increasing to ensure that there's a quality financial reserve in this proposal. The proposed budget is also a result of months of listening to you, our colleagues, our neighbors, taking your concerns seriously. But that's just the beginning. We have 2 more listening sessions in the coming months, and we hope that as many people can come out and provide us input as we continue to make this district an open and transparent one. We are now going to hear from our financial advisor, Prag, who will be giving us an update on both the utility rates assessment by Ralph Tillis, and also go over a full overview on the budget and millage rate with our staff member, Susan. Prag, come on up.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Wendell Gertner with Public Resource Advisory Group, a financial advisor to the district. I am here today with my colleague, Mary Ann Edmonds. And as Glenn said, today I want to walk through the budgeting process the board's going to follow over the next few months as you consider your 2 budgets for the district. The general fund budget, which is paid primarily by property taxes, and the utility system budget, which is supported by the utility ratepayers. While today's meeting will focus on the general fund budget, I want to start with a brief update on the status of the utility fund budget. Although not controlled by statute, in Florida, most municipal utilities adopt a budget in September for the upcoming fiscal year, and that budget can be adjusted through the year if needed. In anticipation of the need to fully understand the components of the budget, at your May 10th meeting, Prag recommended that the district engage Ralph Tillis as its rate consultant to review and evaluate the cost estimates provided by Reedy Creek Energy Services, or RCES. Ralph Tillis has been working directly with the district staff, Prag, and RCES over the past couple months. RCES has been cooperative in providing data, describing procedures, and sharing their financial models for the various utility systems. There have been multiple meetings and large number of data requests that have been filled by RCES and by the district. Ralph Tillis has started the benchmarking process against similar utilities, and in fact, there's another model review session scheduled for this afternoon. The labor services agreement between the district and RCES calls for RCES to provide the operational service fee and the operational service cap for the upcoming fiscal year by July 1st, which they have done. The labor service agreement also calls for the district to agree upon the amount of the fee and the fee cap by July 30th. Ralph Tillis is not yet in a position to opine on the reasonableness of the cost estimate prior to the July 30th date required under the labor service agreement. Ralph Tillis, Prag, district staff, and RCES all agree that a 30-day extension of the July 30th date is appropriate. Ralph Tillis expects to present their preliminary findings at the August 23rd board meeting. So in anticipation of a report and presentation by Ralph Tillis at the August meeting, I would ask the board to formally approve a 30-day extension for finalization of the operational service fee and the operational service cap for fiscal year 24 to allow Prag, Ralph Tillis, and staff to complete the review of RCES's proposed annual adjustment of the operational services and operational service fee. I do think it's appropriate to have that vote on the record, but I will ask the attorneys for any comment.
I agree. That's a good idea. We essentially need a motion by the board to accept the 30-day extension under the labor services agreement to establish the agreement on the service fee for the year.
Do we have such a motion?
Yes, so moved.
Any second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Let the record reflect the vote passed unanimously. Please continue.
Thank you. We'll be back in August with details on the utility budget. But I would like to provide an overview of the budgeting process for the district's general fund. The process for establishing the district's general fund budget is subject to Florida statutes in order to ensure that the tax levies are properly placed on the taxable property in the district. As Mr. Glazine had said, budget development starts with the determination of the funding the district will need to operate during the fiscal year, including operating costs, reserves, and payment of outstanding debt. Staff began budget preparation earlier this year, with the initial department budget requests were submitted to finance staff in June. Finance staff has been working with the departments and the district administrator to refine these requests and develop the preliminary budget that will be presented in detail by staff this morning. The property appraisers of Orange and Osceola County released the net taxable assessed property values for this budget year on July 1st, 2023. That enabled staff and the administrator to decide upon the property tax rate or millage rate needed to generate the required revenue to fund the budget. 1 mil is equivalent to $1 in taxes per $1,000 of net taxable assessed property value. The millage rate proposed to you today, if approved, will be the maximum millage rate the district can levy without extraordinary notification requirements to all property owners. So from a practical perspective, it should be considered the maximum millage rate the district can levy for the upcoming year. At the August meeting, staff will present more details on the line items within the budget, utilizing the approved millage rate and the net taxable assessed value. The first reading of the budget will then occur on September 13th at a public hearing, with the final reading at a public hearing on September 27th. The new budget will go into effect on October 1st. Later in the meeting, I'll be presenting a fund balance policy for the board's consideration. Among other things, this policy calls for an unrestricted fund balance equal to 2 months of general fund operating expenses. The policy allows a replenishment of reserves over a 3-year period if they drop below this level for any reason. We've advised staff that it's reasonable to also build up to this reserve level over a period not to exceed 3 years when the policy is initially implemented, and staff is utilizing that approach in the current budget. So that is the overview, and I'll turn it over to staff.
I'm Susan Higginbotham from the District Finance Department, and I'll be going over some details in a summary way regarding the general fund and debt service budgets for the district. And I will repeat a lot of the things that Wendell said, but it is very important that everyone understands the process. The general fund and debt service funds are primarily funded by ad valorem taxes. On the screen, you will see our assessed value that we're using from the Orange County and Osceola County property appraisers, $15.3 billion in assessed values. That is a $1.9 billion increase from prior year of $13.4 billion. Of this $15.3 billion in assessed value, $265 million is attributable to new construction and new additions within the district. Below that, you will see our millage rates for our debt portion of our millage rate. We are proposing a decrease from 4.64 mils to 3.96 mils. And for our operating millage rate, a decrease from 9.26 mils to 8.99 mils. Combining those, you get the decrease that Glenn recognized, which is a total of 13.9 mils to 12.95 mils. Because the district does participate in the state of Florida truth in millage process to levy these ad valorem taxes, I am required to inform you about the rollback rate. So the rollback rate, as you can see, is 8.261. This is the rate that would generate the same taxes as prior year, taking out the new construction. So that is comparable to our operating millage rate. You'll see our operating millage rate is 8.99, with the rollback rate being 8.261. That is an 8.82% increase over the rollback rate. Again, this is required by the state of Florida, and as both Wendell and Glenn have mentioned, we will have various public hearings, and this will be repeated so that it is understood by you guys and by the public. Looking at our revenues, you will see for fiscal year '24, we are proposing total revenues of $194 million. The majority of that is from our ad valorem taxes, which is $188 million. Also, you'll see an increase in our permits and fees revenue. We are currently conducting a fee study on our building and safety permits and fees, with the goal being to recover the costs of that department. And we have not performed such a study in over 8 years, so it's time that we take a look at that, again, just to recover the costs in that department. Moving on to our expenditures, our total operating expenditures, proposing $140.6 million. That includes our labor of $67.1 million. Included in our labor is our contractual increases that you just approved with our new bargaining unit contract, as well as annual increases for our non-bargaining unit employees. We also have additional headcount in our labor that Glenn has recognized already, and the district does participate in the Florida retirement system, and we are expecting increased contribution rates, 2% for regular class members and 4.8% for our higher-risk members, so that is also factored into our labor budget. Other expense, $67.8 million. Larger items within this amount are our planned work projects that we use to maintain our facilities and our buildings. Also our roadways, we have paving, milling and resurfacing, and also we have guardrail repairs in here. Drainage, our drainage system, which is a big part of the district, is in this amount. And then we have our outside services. So the district hires outside services to maintain our landscaping and our, on our roadway, and also operate our garages. That's included in this number. And then you'll see our capital outlay. This line represents our direct purchases of fixed assets such as machinery and equipment, automobiles. You'll see we have a savings over fiscal year '23. Our environmental sciences lab building, which is in progress now, will not be completed by September 30th, so we will be rolling that over into fiscal year '24. Continuing down our slide, I have a transfer in from our drainage reserve funds. So our drainage reserve fund is prior collected drainage fees that can only be used for repairs on our drainage system. So we will be getting $3 million in from our drainage reserve to cover certain costs that this can be applied to. Debt service, $58 million. You can see that's the same. That is our just our regular debt service schedule. We don't anticipate any changes in that. And for our insurance, I'm still waiting on some quotes. So right now, this is just a placeholder. So, like I said, this is a proposed budget. You'll see our expenditure totaling $198.7 million. If you recall from my prior slide, our revenues were $194 million. So we will have an excess of expenditures over our revenue of around $4 million, and we will be using our beginning fund balance to cover that amount. And again, some of this is going to be repetitive, but it is very important. So today we will be asking you to approve the proposed millage of 12.95 mils. This is the millage rate that will go on the trims, which will be mailed by both counties' property appraisers to the taxpayers. Once this millage rate is sent out, we cannot raise it. We can only lower it. Then, once that is done, I will go back and with staff, and we will continue to work on the budget. We continually track and monitor the actuals so that we can have a good idea of our ending fund balance for '23, because that is our beginning fund balance for '24. And we still have some refining to do on our fiscal year '24 numbers. The trims actually advertise the first budget hearing, public budget hearing, which is September 13th at 5:05, where we will vote on the tentative millage rate and the tentative budget. And then we will have our final budget hearing on September 27th at 5 p.m., where we have our final millage and final budget. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions. We will be getting a little bit further detail when we get to the August meeting.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan. I'll turn it, do you have anything, General Counsel, that you want to add before we turn it to the board?
I understand that we would like a motion. Is this something you'd like me to state for the board to adopt a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay. The staff is requesting the board to move to set the millage rate for the fiscal year 2023 to 2024 for trim notice purposes at 12.95 mils.
Correct.
That's the motion they'd like you to make.
All right.
Is there such a motion?
I'll motion.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion with respect to this motion or with respect to the presentations that we've just received from many of my fellow board members? Hearing none, I do want to make some comments. In light of our CEO's very good work, I want all of you to know that he has put egg on my face, okay? And let me explain that, okay? When we first were appointed to this position, one of the things that I quickly realized, which was highly unusual because I've served on the board of a special district and the board of other government agencies, is that there were no board policies, none. And that's highly unusual. And I knew that this board was going to have to bring in professionals and create and develop board policies for this board so that we could function as an honest, open, transparent, independent government. And I knew that would cost us some money. And as you've seen, at almost every single board meeting, including this one, we are adopting these kinds of board policies that are good practices. The other thing that I noticed when I was first appointed to this board, that this district didn't have a CFO. That position was vacant. And I've got an accounting background, and I know a little bit about accounting policies. And when I looked and started asking some questions, I learned that there were no formal policies on some very elementary issues for this district. And so we as a board quickly decided that it made sense for us to go out and hire a national firm, which was Prague, that does work all over the United States, and come in here and do a balance sheet and P&L analysis and give us advice and recommendations on what we need to do as a board to make sure that we're providing the financial transparency that an independent government should be providing. And so I knew we were going to have to pay for those services, and it was going to cost more. The other thing that we learned through our financial advisor is that because Disney entered into one of these 11th hour agreements shortly before we were appointed to basically take over the utility services from the district for 10 years, we were advised that we needed to hire a rate-setting expert. I didn't even know what that was, but we had to hire that to make that type of expert to make sure that Disney is providing fair and reasonable rates. And I knew that was going to cost us money. And then we were sued. Disney sued this board, didn't seek justice in their own backyard here in Osceola or Orange County, but they sued us up in North Florida. They sued us in Tallahassee in federal court. And when you're sued in federal court, you have to hire federal court practitioners, and they hired a national lawyer to represent them in this lawsuit where they sued us up there. And so I knew we were going to have to hire a national law firm that specializes in federal practice. And so we did. And I knew that that was going to cost us money because of Disney's actions. And then, of course, these 11th hour agreements, we got an opinion from a former Supreme Court justice, Florida Supreme Court justice, and said those agreements are void ab initio, which means that they're unlawful. And so we as a board had to take our own action, and we, unlike Disney, are seeking justice in our own backyard, and we filed a lawsuit in the state court pursuant to the recommendation of a former Supreme Court justice telling us that those agreements are void ab initio. And I knew that was going to cost us money. And really good lawyers and really good financial advisors and really good rate-setting experts and really good general counsel to provide us advice on new policies that we needed was going to cost us money. And I knew that would be expensive. So you may recall that I made a prediction at one of our meetings that I thought we were going to have to increase the tax rate to pay for all of these things that I've just outlined. And much to my surprise, okay, because of the great work of our CEO, Mr. Gilzine, he dug in and reviewed the financials and found that there was spending on a number of fronts that was wasteful and that could be cut for the district. And because of his good work, despite all the other money that we're having to spend because of the neglect of the old board not adopting the appropriate policies and the suits that have been brought and the 11th hour agreements, notwithstanding all of that money, because of his good work, he's found some savings. And let me give you an example of what I've heard, and I've heard others, but I'm prepared to say. What we discovered is that the district was paying over $8 million a year in overtime for law enforcement services provided exclusively on Disney properties. Now, Disney's not the only taxpayer in this district. We have other taxpayers, but $8 million was being used for law enforcement services exclusively on Disney properties. And that doesn't make any sense to me, and it doesn't make any sense to anybody on our team that's looked at it. And so that's one of the savings that Mr. Gilzine has found. And as we are doing more work, it appears that there are a number of other naughty things that this old board did with district funds. And so we're going to look for further savings. But on behalf of the board, I want to thank Mr. Gilzine for putting egg on my face and finding that wasteful spending, because we are determined to run an open, honest, efficient, transparent, independent government agency that is financially transparent and financially efficient. And so I'm delighted that we have this motion on the floor. And if there's no further comments, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Please let the record reflect that the motion passed unanimously. If there's nothing further on that agenda item, we'll move to public hearings. And the first item is 9.1, Resolution 645. Mr. Langley?
Resolution number 645, a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District adopting a fund balance policy. I do believe we have Prag to make a brief presentation on this policy.
Thank you. The policy is in front of you. It's in the package. I believe it's fairly straightforward. Historically, there has not been a fund balance policy of the district. There have been adequate reserves. Rating agencies have recognized that, but it's been on a year-to-year decision. A fund balance policy sets a long-term goal of what your fund balance or reserve should be. This policy has a number of different types of reserves to make sure that you are able to weather hopefully any unforeseen circumstances. As I said earlier, one of the main policies here is that your unrestricted reserve is equal to 2 months of operating expenses. That is a good standard. It's something the rating agencies look for as a strong credit positive. It is something that will be built up towards in the next couple of years, so that it's not all moved in at once for a sudden increase. That is a reasonable plan of action. But this policy would have an unassigned balance, which is the general reserve. It will assign certain funds for unexpected emergencies, recommending $2 million for natural disasters, whether that be weather-related or other sorts of emergency situations. It will commit funds for which you expect to spend dollars in the upcoming years, whether that is for pay-go capital, it's for service water discharge fees. I think you saw an example of that earlier. And it's putting aside money for litigation that's not based on current operating. And it also sets aside reserves to cover costs of property taxpayers that are disputing their taxes. We think having this policy is a strong credit positive. We think having this policy will help in future budgeting years because you will know what reserves you should be budgeting towards and can then build the rest of your operating budget off of that policy. So I can answer any questions you have.
Any questions from my fellow board members? Any comments? I believe that we have to give an opportunity for public comments. Is that correct?
Yes, this is a public hearing.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody that wants to make a public comment with respect to this resolution? Hearing none, is there a motion that we adopt this resolution?
I move that we adopt resolution number 645.
Is there a second?
Also second.
Any discussion? Let me just briefly indicate that this is one of the items that this board had to do and take action to bring Prague to adopt policies that never existed before in the district. And this policy that we're about to vote on is something that is new. And just so to summarize what our financial expert, financial advisor has indicated is the purpose of this policy, and myself with a financial background, it's pretty elementary that any independent government agency have this type of policy. And here's what our financial advisor, how he described the purpose. The purpose of this policy is to establish guidelines to ensure that the district maintains adequate levels of fund balance in the general fund, one, to mitigate current and future risks such as revenue shortfalls, unanticipated expenditures, natural disasters, or other unforeseen circumstances. Two, to help ensure stable tax rates for the taxpayers. And three, to ensure that the district has sound financial management policies and practices to allow for the highest possible credit rating to reduce the district's cost of future borrowings. And that's why this policy has been adopted, and it's a new policy this district hadn't had before. So all in favor of the motion, please indicate by indicating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Please let the record reflect that the motion passed unanimously. And then, moving on to item 9.2, specifically Resolution 646. Mr. Langley?
Resolution number 646, a resolution of the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District adopting a conflicts of interest policy. We've had several board members mention the need to have policies that not only govern the rules of the meeting, but also a general guideline and rules for conflicts of interest. My office has generated the policy before you. It is it's consistent with state law. It goes a little broader. I think it's sort of in a format where it's easy for everyone to understand, instead of being in legalese like statutes are. So you're governed in addition to the policy if you adopt it by Part 2 of Chapter 112 Florida statutes, which is the Code of Ethics for Public Officers. In this conflicts of interest policy, explains that chapter in, like I said, non-legalese, but also provides for additional guidelines for the board to ensure that we're being transparent as a board and not generating unintentional conflicts of interest. This gives you an understanding on the front end of what sort of activities as far as gratuities you're not allowed to accept, what sort of employment would be a conflict, what sort of interactions with lobbyists or taxpayers would be inappropriate. So unless you have any questions for me, you have before you a resolution that I recommend that you adopt as presented.
Okay, and I believe we have to give opportunity for public comments. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Are there any public comments with respect to this conflict of interest policy we're adopting? Seeing none, is there a motion that we adopt this resolution?
Mr. Chair, I'll also motion, but I also just like to add, I mean, in my 20 years of, nearly 20 years of practice as a corporate lawyer. I think I'm representing companies and businesses, large and small. This is a policy that I've found at all levels of business, governing the behavior of officers and directors. Frankly, I'm stunned a little bit that such a thing was not in place before, but I think it's a great thing that we're doing. I think hopefully, looking at this policy, as was mentioned by our general counsel, this goes above and beyond sort of the mere minimum state law requirements. It provides clarity about the behavior that we can and cannot, as a board, engage in, and I think hopefully will give some great comfort to the people in this district, if they didn't already have it, that this board is going to be motivated solely by the best interests of the folks in this district and of the people of the state of Florida. So with that, I am very supportive and glad that this has been moved forward. So I will motion for a vote on
Second.
Resolution 646.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further comments by any board members?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, as I read through the policy, I was quite impressed because it includes a clause in there where if in some way this conflicts with the state with regards to conflict of interest, the more stringent will apply. I thought that was very interesting. That is the desire of this board to be even more rigorous than anything you might find required or mandated by the state.
Thank you for those comments. Hearing no further comments, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Please let the record reflect that the motion passed unanimously. Next item on the agenda, unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business by Mr. Gilzine, our general counsel, fellow board members? Hearing none, we are going to temporarily recess and meet with our litigation counsel in a shade meeting. At the conclusion of that, I believe we'll meet in private in the room next door. After that, we will come back and then adjourn. But seeing that General Counsel may have some comments, could you please respond?
Thank you. I just wanted to add to that, that we've, as the acting general counsel, have requested this executive session of the board for purposes of the requirements of 286.011 subsection 8 Florida statutes, sunshine law. I am reading into the record the people that will be in attendance. There will be a court reporter who will be there to transcribe everything that's said in the closed-door meeting. The persons in attendance will be the full board present today. Members Chair Garcia, Vice Chair Barakat, Board Member Perry, Board Member Ziegler, District Administrator Glenn Gilzine, Acting General Counsel Daniel Langley, and Kurt Ardeman, and also our litigation counsel Paul Huck. We estimate the closed-door meeting will take about 45 minutes or less. And then, as the chair said, after we're finished, we will come back to this room and adjourn that portion of the meeting. Thank you. So if there's nothing further, we would adjourn the public part and we'll go to the closed meeting.
We'll be back.
David didn't come. Or, Jason.
Okay, we're back in session. If there's no further business, we will adjourn this meeting. It stands adjourned. Thank you.